Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Hiawatha number 200F push plate. This is a special variant where we're going to do a engraved model along with a hole for a cylinder or possibly a thumb turn. Here's the real thing. This is the actual item that part number infers. First of all, I don't review a lot of Hiawatha. I wish I reviewed more of it based on seeing this piece of hardware. Hiawatha it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. Sometimes the lead times are very unpredictable and very, very incompatible with the nature of construction lead times. However, it is also true to say that every time I review a Hiawatha product, I'm very impressed with the quality. If it's correct to begin with, the piece count, I'm impressed with the quality. This is a 200F push plate. That is going to mean several things. Let's go over it now. The 200 means that it's going to be a push plate. The F in the part number, well, the 200 means it's a push plate, but it's also 50 thousandths of an inch thick. The standard thickness of this push plate, and a very common, most common thickness of push plates would be 50 thousandths thick, 0.050, which is the same thickness as a standard kick plate as well. So commercial quality. They can be made thicker. That would be the 300 series, and that would be 125 thousandths or eighth of an inch thick, so substantially thicker. Okay. And then the F in the part number is going to tell us, again, the F in the part number is going to tell us that it's 4 inch by 16 inch. That's going to be a reference to the width and the height. You got 4 inch wide, you've got 16 inch tall. Okay. When the letter in the part number changes, the size will change. An A would be 3 by 12, a B would be 3.5 by 15, pardon me, the B would be 3 by 15, the C would be 3.5 by 14, the D is 3.5 by 15, which is not uncommon. The E is 3.5 by 16, and I'm looking at the chart. F, 4 by 16, G, 4 by 20, not uncommon as well. H, 6 by 16, J, 7.5 by 15, then K is 8 by 16. Hiawatha has a great selection of available width and height combinations. I prefer a push plate that's wider. The bottom line is, every time, if you ever notice that you see a 3.5 by 15 or a 4 by 16, there's going to be a wear mark around the door just because the hand is larger than the plate. However, so maybe a 6 inch is a good width. However, the wider the piece of hardware, the more obvious it is on the door. However, so is the wear and tear that occurs to the face of the door. Let's say you have a pre-finished oak door with a stain on it, and your plate is only 4 inch wide. Over years, like let's say it's a library or a school, over years it's going to wear off. So a little bigger piece of hardware, I think, is a good confluence of protection of the door itself without it being too obvious. Now, this is going to give you, this model is going to give you the push, which is going to be the H designation. Okay. Okay. So the H is going to tell us that we're dealing with a plate that is going to be mounted or engraved with the letter push, and that's going to be a standard 3/4 inch letter with a black infill. However, those letters are actually 1 inch. The published data states 3/4 inch from the manufacturer. This actually measures 1 inch. We will determine why this is 1 inch and then follow up moving forward with why these letters are 1 inch tall. So that will be determined why that's the case. Otherwise, expect that they're going to be 3/4 inch. Okay. Either the plate is wrong or the documentation is wrong. That's the bottom line on that. Okay, now moving forward, you are allowed to determine, when you add to cart, you have to tell us how far down you want the letters. Obviously centered in the panel is going to be, or in the plate is going to be typical. This model happens to have a prep in it for a cylinder or a thumb turn or whatever piece of hardware you're putting through this. This plate itself is in that restroom. It's going to a museum, as a matter of fact, in Pennsylvania. It's a restroom where they're going to put a cylinder on the inside of on the exterior of this door, and they're going to have a lock mechanism on the interior of it, and that's why that's the case. The client was you're required to tell us how far down to the center and then how far over. And this client has a specific non-centered requirement for the location of it, because what they're doing is obviously going to install this into an existing prep. So that prep's got to be located properly based on either end, and of course the height where they want to have the plate mounted to. The US10B, that's going to mean two things. It's going to be made of solid architectural bronze, or brass, or bronze, call it whatever it's architectural bronze, and that it has an oil rubbed finish on it. An oil rubbed finish is a evolving, meaning is a non-stable finish that people will specify when they want the hardware to evolve or change with time. Touching it, and I just having my hand underneath it, you'll see that oil process on there. Over time, this will lighten. You will begin over time to reveal the bronze base material underneath the hardware. People will order oil rub because they specifically want that effect. If you do not want this to change at all, you don't want oil rub bronze, you'll want to order perhaps a oil rub bronze equivalent, which is really just powder coated dark bronze paint onto a base material, which is generally the least expensive base material and would certainly be stainless for something like this. So if you wanted a stable finish, you'll want to avoid oil rub bronze. The balance of the information below this video tells us that the 200 is a square push plate. You can also do radius corners, radius top, things of that nature. You can do non-rectangular shapes as well, half circles, custom sizes that you'll see. The 280, it would be a 280M, is a shape that is unusual in that it is much wider at the top than it is at the bottom. That's a great option for a plate because it will allow you to cover that hand area and not do so with such a massively wide piece of rectangular metal. A little bit more decorative. The 200 is also going to give you a 4 beveled edge scenario. This plate is so thin that you really can't see it, but on the edge of this there is indeed a bevel on this material. If this was not, forgive me, the alarm went off. Okay, if this was not beveled, this action right here would absolutely slice my finger. There's no question about it. So having 4 BE, 4 beveled edges, is what you want, and is of course considered typical and common. There are variations on beveled edges when it comes to flat goods like this, push and pull plates, kick plates especially, but 4 BE is what you're going to see all the time. Push is indicated in the part number. The hole for the cylinder is there as well. There's a link below this video to a document called Product Brochure, which is a one-piece document that will allow you to review all of the push plates, and you'll see where I am pulling those other sizes from. But you'll see 7 columns of different part numbers, how the design changes, and how the individual part numbers will change per design based on requirements. And then some options are included there as well. Another fairly common scenario is to do self-adhesive tape on these, where you're not going to be screwing it to the door, and screws are included in a complementary finish, like a number 8 or so, maybe a 6. They don't indicate. I'm going to go with a number 6. A number 6 by maybe 5/8 oval undercut head screw in a complementary finish, and the magnet tells me that that's bronze or brass material as well. Be very careful when you're putting that in. You're going to want to absolutely pre-drill those holes to the correct diameter, correct depth, and straight. You want to have an excellent fitting screwdriver for this so that you don't strip these out. They're not in the business of sending extra screws, so word to the wise, you don't want to ruin one screw is what I'm trying to say by using a screw gun. There is finally a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Hiawatha products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, along with a link to the full product catalog. I am indeed cautious with Hiawatha because we've had lots of lead times that have been frustrating at best. And as a result, it's difficult to wholeheartedly suggest that you consider Hiawatha when time is of the essence. However, if time is not of the essence and you've ordered in advance with proper lead time, proper being 3 weeks, allowing for another 2, sorry Hiawatha, that's just the truth, then you will be very happy with the results. I cannot think of a product I've gotten from them that I've been displeased with the quality of the fit and finish. Occasional errors, but the quality of the fit and finish is on par with everyone else. The name Hiawatha is synonymous with trim and auxiliary hardware and has been for several decades. If you have any questions on the Hiawatha 200F and a US10B with an engraved H and then a CFTT hole for a cylinder or a thumb turn or any other Hiawatha product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.